Hello, everyone. I am Taylor Manning, and I am here with Jenna Carelli. I'm so excited to interview her. She's been one of my clients for a little while, and she has a really amazing story because she's had quite a few businesses, and somehow she successfully juggles multiple businesses and being a mom. But I will let her introduce herself because I'm sure she can do it a lot better than me.
Hi, everyone. So as Taylor said, I am Jenna Carelli, and I have been working with Taylor, and I think she's amazing. But yes, I am toggling a lot of things in my life right now, but I'm a business implementation coach, and I really focus on the implementation part with my clients because we need to take action in order to succeed. We can't just sit back and learn strategy all the time. But I didn't start out as a business coach. I actually started out in the health and fitness industry as a hobby of mine while working a full-time corporate job. So I was actually a paralegal for 6 years, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. But that's kind of part of my journey. And I went through this like emotional battle with myself, trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life. And if I wanted to sit in a desk, in an internal desk without a window for the rest of my life, or if I really wanted to pursue something outside of that and outside of the normal path that people take. So I'm a health and fitness coach and a business implementation coach.
I love it. So what I would love to kind of start out with is hearing more about like you first becoming an entrepreneur. So you already gave us like a little snippet of what you were doing before, but I'd love to hear like a little bit more about like you taking the jump. Like, was it kind of a slow transition, super quick? Everyone has their own story. So I'd love to hear your story.
My transition was slow, very slow. It took me a while to realize that this was something that was possible for me. And I grew up, my father was a small business owner, so I knew that it was possible because I saw him do it. So I had a lot of characteristics that I kind of pulled from him. And, you know, some people just go through life and they think that it like you're channeled and it's aligned for you already. And what you go to school with is what you need to do for the rest of your life. And they just never see anything beyond that. But I always saw that. I just didn't think it would ever be possible for me. So I went to school. I started out as a communications major because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And that turned into criminal justice and psychology because I thought I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. Who knows why? I don't. So I graduated, and the only thing I knew what to do was to become a paralegal at a law firm. But I always had this passion for health and fitness. I was into sports. It was always just a hobby, though. It was never something that I believed could ever turn into anything. So I would say that I slid into entrepreneurship. And when I say slid, I don't mean that the universe just kind of aligned for me. I mean that health and fitness was always a side gig to my full-time job. It was never something that I wanted to pursue long term. And it actually took me about 10 months to really realize that it's something I could actually turn into a full-time job for myself. And I didn't know that until people started asking me questions in the industry. And I was a CrossFit coach, and my CrossFit coach at the time asked me to hold a seminar for our gym members. And so I did, and then I ran a challenge for them. And I loved it. Like, I became alive when I started talking to people one-on-one, face-to-face. So obviously there's been a lot of struggles, emotional battles with myself, trying to figure out if I can actually be successful on my own without this steady paycheck coming in. I had some family members who were telling me there's no way that you could possibly be successful or be able to support your family doing anything in the health and fitness industry. So that actually fueled my fire, because that's something that just like lights my butt and makes me want to go and like really succeed. So it's been a struggle, but like I said, it took me 10 months to realize that it's something I'm really passionate about. I was listening to this internal intuition that I had, hired my first business coach at 27. And by 28, I quit my full-time job and I'm home with my daughter. I also had a baby during that time too. So it's a path I didn't think was possible, but here I am. And now I just love showing others that if you do truly follow your passion in life, you can reach whatever your goals and your dreams may be.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious to hear, I have two things that come to mind that I want to talk about, but I'm going to start with this one. What was like the hardest part? So you talked a little bit about kind of getting criticism from family, and obviously there's a ton of fear that we put on ourselves too. Mm-hmm. But like, what was the scariest part of it? The scariest fear, or maybe the like toughest criticism you were getting? Like, what was the hardest piece of it for you?
Not actually being successful. I think my biggest fear was, what if I can't? And what if I don't? And how am I going to explain this? Or how am I going to apologize to this family member who kept telling me it wasn't possible? And really the voices inside my head telling me, like, you can't do this. There's no way. Like, no, like, this is not something that normal people do. Like, why are you thinking this way? That was the biggest battle emotionally. And I always have had this kind of like emotional battle with myself with everything that I do in sports and just every step of my life. So I'm not like a woo-woo person, but there's something to say about mindset and keeping a positive mindset that really helps you push forward and become successful ultimately.
Yeah. So what do you say to somebody who is like in that place now where I don't know exactly where, like how things were in those 10 months of transitioning, but for somebody who's maybe somehow gotten a client or started to realize like, oh, I can actually get paid for this. And like this, maybe like they're kind of in that place, like maybe this could be what I do, but they have all that fear and like those voices in their head right now.
I would say to make sure you start seeing the opportunity in every situation that you're given and really weigh these options that you have instead of always turning to the negative or turning to the what if. Because if I would have continued saying, what if I don't do this? Or what if I fail? Or what if I don't ever get a client? Or what if people actually don't think I am knowledgeable in the subject that I'm trying to teach? I would have never move forward at all. I would just remain stagnant for the rest of my life. So if you start listening to your intuition and start just aligning your personal beliefs with your business beliefs, it all really does just fall into place. And instead of listening to that devil inside your head telling you you can't do something, just start listening to the people who are coming to you on a daily basis and asking you questions on certain topics because they see you as a figure that they look up to in their life. So if you take a step back and focus on the positive rather than the negative all the time, I think it does align for you and everything does eventually come together. And use people, like reach out to people who you look up to as well to talk about it so that you're not always like keeping everything bottled up.
Yeah. Definitely. It's all about just taking those little actions. And I think it's cool that you say that your transition was kind of slow, but you were taking action during it. Like you don't have to fully leap into being a full-time entrepreneur. You can take it slow, but you're not going to get anywhere if you sit there and just keep staying in fear and don't do anything. So you taking those opportunities was definitely key. And I want to talk a little bit more about that because you are all about implementation. Oh, that's super important. That's what you teach. And I think it's really cool because a lot of the people that I'm interviewing in this series they got started totally online and you didn't quite have that. So I kind of have two directions again I want to go with this, but the first one is I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit more about like those in-person trainings and things that you were doing and like how did you come across those and how that kind of helped you see progress in your business?
Yeah, so that's one thing that people don't usually hear about my story. I started offline. I did not start online. I knew nothing about technology, nothing about the online space or marketing in general. As I said, I went to school for criminal justice, which I knew law. That was pretty much it. But when my CrossFit coach approached me and asked me to do a seminar for our community, I enjoyed it so much. And I really thought, what's the next step that I can take? Because it lit me up. Like, it made me a happier person to be able to just talk one-on-one on a personal level with people about nutrition and fitness. So I decided to, I've never been good in front of people. I hate public speaking, and I still get nervous every time I do it, even though I've done like a million, speakings by now. But I reached out to probably 25 CrossFit gyms in the local community. I reached out to run communities and even some like corporate wellness groups in the area as well. And I just, gave them this little flyer and said, here's little me. Like, I have a little knowledge in all these areas, but I would love to just come for free and chat with your community and see if I can, spark anybody's interest to join a 6-week challenge and whatnot. So I got like 6 people that responded to that out of like the 25 that I reached out to. But I didn't give up. So I just kept pursuing it because something inside me said, this is it. This is what you need to do. So I ended up doing 6 seminars for CrossFit communities in the area. They were 45 minutes long. And then I spent 6 weeks with these people. And they were like anywhere from 30 to 50 people at a time. So, remember, I'm working a full-time job. I'm doing this on the weekend. At this point, I'm married with a dog. So I'm a dog mom, and that takes some work. And so it's a lot of work. And what I do is macronutrient calculations. So there's like calculations I need to do for each individual. So it's a lot of work. And I just did it for free for the seminar. And then the challenge was like $30 for 6 weeks. So make sure you're charging enough also when you're looking to build a business, something I learned down the road. But what happened was I never worked one-on-one with these people. I went and I spoke to them. So they, it's building that know you, like you, trust you factor. And what happened was they ended up referring everybody that they knew to me. So other people in their community, other CrossFit gyms that they have connections at. Without me ever working one-on-one with them, I was getting this influx of referrals to work one-on-one with me, like on a nutrition. And I was like, what? Like, why would this person refer you to me? I never worked with them. I just spoke to them at a seminar. But what I realized is it's not selling a product and it's not really selling a service. You're selling yourself first before you do either of those other 2 things. And that's what I was doing. I was selling myself. These people were loving just the personal interaction, and they felt like that was enough to go tell their friends to reach out to me and have them work with me. So that community engagement went a long way. And really helped me to build my local audience anyway, when I brought my business online.
Yeah, I love that. I think you bring like a totally different like perspective to it with that the offline business side. And I think some people actually love public speaking, or like they really like, they just crave that in person.
It's funny though, because I get nervous and like I'll shake and I'll turn really red and like, I don't know, like before. And then once I'm there talking and afterwards, I'm like on top of the world. Like I feel like I'm like dancing on the moon. Like I'm so happy. So it's so weird how that happens.
Yeah. So I think that it's really cool for you to kind of explain that like, you just like did it. You just like asked people if you could speak. And it actually did lead to growing your business, because even though those $30 a person, I'm sure it can add up when you have like 30 to 50 people, but when it leads to those referrals, that's huge. And so that's a big way that you grew that business, is in-person seminars, the challenges, and then getting referrals. Then, if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but then you eventually decided to come online and teach people how to do this. Mm-hmm. And you were brand spanking new. And you didn't really know a lot of people online. So take it from there. Like, what was that like? And what were some of those first actions you took in that business and just like coming online?
Yeah. So I was 27 at the time, and I was making, not consistent numbers at all, but anywhere from like $300 to, if I had a seminar that month, over $1,000, sometimes over $2,000. So here's me like right out of college, you know, working full time and bringing in like, you know, $300 to $1,000, let's say on average income per month. And that felt really freaking good. Looking back, it's like funny because it's like little numbers now. But I realized again, and a lot of this stems from my husband because he's like the logical thinker in the family. And like I tend to, like I said, like focus on the negative, and he always brings things into perspective for me. But I started realizing that, you know, throughout my entire life, I've always had a teacher in school. I went to college and I was taught. So naturally, I think the right thing for me to do is hire a coach because I know nothing about the online space. So if I'm really serious about going this direction in my life while working a full-time job, I'm not going to be able to figure it all out DIY style on my own. So I spent, and it was a lot of money at the time, $500 to join a month-long business boot camp, which then ended up, I was working with this business coach for a year. So I ended up in her year-long program. But I hired a coach to learn everything I possibly could learn after work hours in the online space. And I did. I learned a little bit about a lot of different things, which helped me grow. I mean, ultimately, it brought me home from my 9-to-5 job. Yeah. So in a year, again, very slow progress here, but, you know, I found myself working around the clock. Like, and again, I don't want to make this sound like it was all rainbows and butterflies, because it absolutely was not. Like, I would come home from this job I hated, and I would work because I wanted to from like 6 p.m. to 9. I go to bed really early. But I wanted to work on my business when I got home. So I would neglect my husband. I would neglect my dog. I would skip dinner. Like, I would just work because I wanted to, and then complain about having to go to my real job every day on the side. So that, it didn't come easy, but I knew that I wanted it. And so I never gave up on myself.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's so funny because we always want to kind of downplay like our results. And I'm sure you kind of had that thought cross your mind, like, oh, I only made $300 to $1,000 a month, but there's people who wanted to do the same thing and had no clue how to do it. And then you're like, oh, you know, slow progress, leaving my job, but a year to leave your 9-to-5 for, you know, probably forever in a year is huge. Just so you know. I love that. What do you think for somebody, so you already kind of shared, if somebody's feeling like they want to start like a local type of business or just get started in their community, you've given some pretty solid tips, I feel like, to do that. What do you think are some of like the first must-do steps of getting your business online or getting clients online?
And I think a lot of people would say start a newsletter list, but not necessarily. I mean, you could start to house your community or your audience anywhere. It doesn't have to be on a newsletter list. So it could be in a Facebook group, or it can just be on your personal Facebook page. You know, you can now like tag people and add like people to lists on your personal page. So you can just start creating your own kind of community that way. My dog's trying to come in. But I would say just focusing on content, which then will lead to growth for you. So when you're bringing your business online, if you've started offline, make sure you have, if it's on a piece of notebook paper, then put names and email addresses on a piece of notebook paper over it. Make sure that you're always building that so you know who your followers are, who your leads are, who your prospects are, so you can eventually turn them into paying customers. And then get a journal and just write. Open up a Google document and write something every single day so that you always have a backlog of content that you can share of value across social media. I'm totally going off on tangents, but like share value instead of sharing your product or your service, because that's going to go a longer way than just spamming people with what you have to offer every day.
Definitely. I always say it's like content in conversation, in connection. Like when you're just getting started, like if you're scaling, it's a whole other story. But if you're just getting started, it's like, you just need to have one really good conversation to sign that client. Like that's it. And then you can start that conversation through your content and building connection with people. That's what gets their attention. It's kind of like when you do seminars in person, except for you can reach like the whole internet.
Yeah. And I mean, on the online space, it's live video. So go live. Like, I don't care how scared you are. It's funny. I just challenged my group members to go live, but turn their screen around so that it's black and it's not showing their face, just to start. You know, there's always a starting point, and just doing it. And I like I said, to this day, I'm scared to hop on webinars before I hop on, or host a seminar live in my community. But if you just do it, people see that fear that you've just overcome, and they actually look up to you for it. And you start to realize that you're actually, like, there's other people that do idolize you, and it's not like a selfish thing to say, but you're helping people. And when you're starting a business, you want to make sure that you're starting the right business for the right reasons. And we all want to make money, but we want to make sure that, you know, our business is in alignment with our core values and our beliefs as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Funny story. When I was getting started, like Facebook Live didn't exist yet, but I was doing Periscope, which is the same thing, but on
all the spammers on Periscope.
Yeah. And I was so scared to do Periscopes, like that I would go, once I was able to just get myself to go live, I was like, okay, I'll just go live and then I'll delete it. So like for a week, I would do these live streams and then I would delete them. And like one or two people would be on live, maybe. At first it was 0 and I would still delete it, but I would just go on, talk, and delete it and delete it and delete it. And then finally, a couple of things happened. Like more people started showing up live and like actually telling me that they enjoyed it. And then my confidence would go up. So then I started keeping them up. But like at first I was like, this is all I can do. I am not leaving this up. Like I am like shaking and so scared. Like people would never really assume that now because it feels so natural now. But oh my God, I was so scared of not Facebook Live, but live streaming. But yeah, you just have to like do it. Figure out how you can do it to like build up. It's all about just building up the confidence, and you cannot get confidence unless you're just doing it.
And I don't think that fear ever goes away.
Not really.
It just changes. It's just a different kind of fear every step of the way as your business grows. So you got to get used to, you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And fear is like in your business, like at first things are really iffy. Like you're really feeling your way and seeing what's going to work for you. But you get to a point where like probably definitely where I'm at and where you are at is like, when fear comes up, it's like, okay, I'm growing. Like I'm doing the right thing. Like now fear is kind of a sign that we're like in the right direction.
I was talking to someone the other day, and maybe like some of the new people in entrepreneurship can kind of relate to, just like something as stupid as standing up on your chair to take a photo of what you're eating at dinner, or to take a photo of something in the light to make it look pretty to go on Instagram. That's something that a lot of us just don't do because it's like you're getting judged. Like people are watching you and you know it, and that's kind of embarrassing. But once you start succeeding in what you're doing and your business starts growing, you start to just not care what those people are think about you. Like the judgment's going to happen and you just don't care about it because like you're working, like I'll do it and I'll be like, you're going to work every day and sitting in a cubicle and I'm doing this and this is money. Like, so I don't care that you're rolling your eyes at me, right?
Yeah, seriously. You just have, everyone will get to that point, but at first it's going to be like, oh God, I'm being so judged. This is so embarrassing. But you just got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh.
So this was awesome. I really enjoyed hearing more of your story. I think everyone else will as well. If you just want to let us know when this gets put up, it'll have like a link to your Instagram, your group, and all of that. But if you just want to like say again, you can just remind us what you do. I think that's really helpful. And then where we can find you.
Yes. So again, my name is Jenna Carelli. I am 29 now. So at 27, I found my passion. At 28, I left my full-time job. We never even mentioned, but I had a baby somewhere in there. And I run a fat loss accelerator group program on the nutrition and fitness side that I've really scaled in order to be able to live the lifestyle that I want to live, because I really am only working about 3 hours a day. So I need to scale something. On the business side, I call myself a business implementation coach. There's really 3 things that I've seen in my own success that I think are important to share with my clients. And that's really getting a good handle on your systems, on your business automation, and asking yourself the right questions at the right time. So with my clients, we really focus on that. You can find me on Instagram at Jenna Carelli. So JennaCarelli, 2 L's. And my Facebook group is Up-Level with Implementation. So it's bit.ly/Up-Level with Implementation. But you can get there through my Instagram account too.
Awesome. You're easy to find. Well, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Of course.